So we're with Jeff Manto. We're talking about his induction into the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame in 2008. And looking back on that, it's 18 years ago. It's crazy to think it's that long ago. And we'll talk a little bit about your time in Buffalo. Mick, you showed up mid-season in 1997 in a trade. And you had played in Western New York. You'd played for the Rochester Red Wings for a few years, where you were a big name there. But did you know what to expect when you came to Buffalo? And what were you thinking about your career at that point?
No, I didn't know what to expect when I was coming to Buffalo. I really had no idea. I knew it was a good organization. I knew they were the Pirates what I knew them as the Pirates. I knew Cleveland was back in there, but I remember always hearing about the Bisons, and just passed it on by. And at that point in my career, I was just looking to get the hell out of Syracuse, man. It was just wearing me out. I was looking to move on, and sure enough, I remember getting to the ballpark, and I remember walking in the tunnel and meeting Booch for the first time. And he actually told me, he warned me, he goes, "Hey, man, welcome to Buffalo." And he had all the nice things to say with his fingers crossed, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And he goes, "By the way, man, just so you know, we play to win here." And I was taken back by it. Like, I never heard that before from a general manager, let alone any general manager. And what I thought was true
at the AAA level, yeah.
Always played for yourself in AAA.
Right.
And Booch made it clear right out of the gate that we're here to win. And I'm like, wow, this is different. This is way different.
And you look at that team, too, their veteran leadership, which you added to, but you had Torey Lavallo, veteran leader, Casey Candell, veteran leader. So you had some guys who had been through the trenches and were playing the game to play the game at that point. And then that translated to guys like Richie Sexson and Einar Diaz, and who were coming up in the organization. So it was really a good mix of people, young and old, coming through.
It really was. And there was no need for any of us to put extra stress on each other or on ourselves. It was a well-balanced team as far as talent goes. It was as far like you had mentioned, the leadership. And I'll tell you what, as we know, we both know, Brian Graham really ran a good ship too. He let us do what we needed to do, and under obviously parameters. But it was probably the most fun I had playing baseball. My first year in Buffalo, it was absolutely unbelievable.
And that showed. You hit 20 home runs in just 54 games, 54 RBI before heading back up to the big leagues. And what was that run like for you? I mean, that's a crazy run of hitting success, including a 3 home run game, and just it was electric a little bit.
It was one of those things where you get into that infamous zone. I couldn't. I was so comfortable off the field, because the Bisons, you were part of that. The Bison, the administration made sure everything was taken care of off the field. We got treated like big leaguers. There was nothing petty about the organization whatsoever, from travel to the clubhouse to the teammates to the front office people. It made it easy to play. And when you went to the ballpark and they didn't have any of those little distractions, it was easy to play. And it just so happened, fortunately for me, things worked out well a little bit more quicker than I thought it would. But it was a lot of fun, and especially the winning part.
Yeah, and that team was very successful. The team the next year, you hit another 20 home runs the next year for the Herd, and they went on to win, switch leagues and won the International League that year, went to the AAA World Series, and you felt some of that same groove feeling and as you continued your play in Buffalo.
Yeah, it really was. Again, it was just, it was a place you had to go back to. It was just too comfortable. It was a place where you got treated like a big leaguer, and you had everything you needed to get to the big leagues, and everything you needed to do to be successful was in Buffalo. From the travel to the front office to the places where we lived to the restaurants, there was nothing. There was nothing wrong with Buffalo. It was a very comfortable place to play. And then what they did, I think Cleveland did a good job of bringing in players to match what Buffalo was all about. You come in, we brought in winners. I mean, as you know, we had the highest payroll. I think we had a higher payroll than the Expos. And
right.
So it was a great place to play. It really was. They didn't skip on anything.
And you talk about you compared a lot to the big leagues, but you've been in the big leagues. You had some time in the big leagues. Let's go back to 1995, which I think was kind of another magical year for you. You were in the Orioles organization. Of course, that's the year Cal Ripken broke the streak. What was that like playing on that team, knowing that day was coming the whole season?
I tell you, it was the anticipation was like Christmas Eve. When the day was going to come in, and you couldn't wait for it to get here. But the part of my anxiety was knowing that I'm the guy that gets sent down all the time, and I'm thinking to myself, please, let me get through this. Let me get to September, and then after that's fine. And so there was a lot of anxiety with that, but it was a blast. I think Cal he was unbelievable through it all. He treated everybody with respect, whether it was the fans, the teammates, the front office. A most memorable time for sure, and to watch him go through all that with the class that he went through that with is exceptional, really exceptional.
Yeah, and that's not like a guy who's chasing 3,000 hits or 400 home runs, because you know when it's going to happen, right? Barring a rain out or something. But the date's circled on the calendar. It's September, whatever it's going to be, and this is the day Cal's going to break the streak, barring an injury or whatever, right? So that adds that, like you said, the Christmas feeling.
Yeah. It really did. Matter of fact, as one of the stories goes, as one of the legends goes, when you mentioned rainouts, we had 1 or 2 rainouts, and I think before the game there was 3 or 4 mulligans that could have happened somewhere during the season that would have put this game on the road. And if my memory is correct, we had 1 rainout left, and that particular day was the day before we were going to Cleveland or something like that, and the Orioles had called ahead and said, "Hey, listen, if this game gets rained out in Baltimore, can we move our Cleveland game to home,
right,
to make it a home game?" Cleveland said no. Right. We'll play 21, 30, and 31 in Cleveland. And it was like, oh, man. So the one day, the day of he broke the record, it was raining, or he tied the record, it was raining cats and dogs. And by the time we got to the ballpark, it was as if nothing ever happened. So there was a lot of magic that year.
Baseball God shined upon the Orioles that day. And you talked a little bit about how much class he had, but what was he like as a teammate, Cal Ripken? Because he was as big as life then. Like he was one of the names in the game. Absolutely.
Yeah, I tell you what, he was a teacher. He loved talking baseball, man. After every game, he talked baseball. He was not afraid to give you his opinion in the most respectful way. He never yelled at anybody. He wasn't condescending at all. You knew who he was. He knew who he was. But he was always teaching. I remember he taught me so much about third base by just setting me up, and it was an incredible thing that this guy would spend time, with a guy like myself, but at the end of the day, he wanted to win, and he was going to try to make everybody get in the best position they could get in so that we can all win. And he was just a great, great guy.
And during that season, you hit 4 home runs in 4 at-bats, which is an unbelievable feat, right? And you had, I think, 17 home runs that year in the big leagues. And there's a story about that, though, right? I mean, that's a big feat, and you had the bat, and what are we going to do with that bat? The bat that you hit 4 home runs with. Tell me about that story, how that plays out.
My last game in Baltimore, before we went on a road trip, I hit my 4th home run, and everybody's excited. So the next night we actually go to Cleveland, and what had happened, the first at bat that game, I cracked my bat. Okay, I crack my bat and I get it and I throw it in the dugout trash can, and I'm thinking, you know what? Nah, I want to keep this bat. So ironically enough, I run it up to the clubhouse. Ironically enough, that night I get John Maroon comes in and says, "Hey, listen, the Hall of Fame just called and wants a piece of memorabilia for their current events. They have a current events banner or a station, and they said they want a hat, a glove, spikes, a uniform, or even the bat." And I'm thinking to myself, the bat, why would I give my bat to the Hall of Fame? So I only know one person that has memorabilia in the Hall of Fame. So I go to Cal and I'm talking to Cal. I said, "Cal, listen, the Hall of Fame." I explained the story to him. And he goes, "Well, send him the bat." I said, "What do you mean send him the bat? Why would I want to send him the bat?" So I want to hang this thing in my den so my family and friends could see the bat. And he goes, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "Where do you want your family and friends to see this bat? In your den or in the Hall of Fame?" I said, "You know what? You're right. So I sent the bat to the Hall of Fame." So
yeah,
it was
that's
a
pretty
good
good
advice
perspective.
from somebody who knew a little bit more than I did.
Yeah, that's pretty good perspective. Here's my den. I didn't clean it or you can go to the or to the Baseball Hall of Fame and see it in
good.
there. That's fantastic. So let's jump forward. Great career. You step away and you get a call from the Bisons. They want to put you in the Hall of Fame, and then they also retired your number. And there's only 3 of those for the Bisons. Talk about that as an honor. Coming back to Buffalo for that, and what that meant to you and your family.
It was extremely humbling. It really was, to think that what goes into retiring a number, and for me, it was not just putting up statistics. It wasn't just being a good player. It was being on championship teams. To me, it showed that they appreciated the respect I had for the fans, the respect I had for teammates, the respect I had for their front office. And every time I left the ballpark, I represented the Bisons, and I understood how important that was. And for them to realize it, for the Rich family to realize it, to the front office like yourself, Booch and JD, the boys, to recognize, hey, this might be a good idea. Never in a million years would I think that would ever happen. And to know that the responsibility that carries is humbling, and something I still today take serious.
That's great. And so we'll go forward a couple more years after that then, and you get a call from the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame. And now it's not just your memorialized, remembered in that ballpark, but now you're remembered in the Greater Buffalo, the whole area. Recognize your greatness of baseball play for the Bisons. And talk about what that meant when you got that call for the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame.
As a kid from the East Coast, and knowing a lot about, it's more than probably most do about the Buffalo sports. I know the Sabres and I know the Bills, and I paid attention to it, and I knew how important sports was and how fanatical they were and how true fans they were and loyal fans. And to think again that area would think of me in that regard is it's mind-boggling. It really is. And it was a great feeling thinking to myself, my God, it just doesn't stop. And to be truly honored by a town like Buffalo in the Greater Buffalo area, definitely, again, just very, very humbling.
And we have our dinners coming up September 24th this year. We're inducting the class of 2026. Your pal Duke McGuire, longtime Bison associate, radio, PA. He's done it all at the ballpark. He's going in, and I know that makes you smile. But talk about, what that night was like for you. That event was held at the Sabres Arena. That's when we held at the Sabres Arena. But I think people from out of town who had never been to that dinner, it's much bigger than they think it was going to be, right? And maybe even overwhelming or whatever. But talk about what that night meant to you to walk into that gala, if you will, and the excitement and the sense and what you felt that night with you and your family.
I'd say I felt such an honor to be a part of it, number one, but it was a humbling experience. I felt so small being around so many great names and inductees, thinking to myself, again, I got to pinch myself because I am so honored, that I would be a part of this, and getting inducted with what do they call him?
Moose,
the running back.
Yeah, Moose Johnson from
Moose Johnson, and being an Eagles fan and sharing the same limo with him.
Okay.
And being an Eagles fan, and then the last thing you want to do is tell him I'm an Eagles fan, and just keep my mouth shut. And the ride over wasn't quiet. He's a really, really nice guy and very friendly, but I tried to keep that Eagles stuff away from him. But it was a great it was a great night.
Yeah, and you mentioned Buffalo sports, so Jim Kelly's in that hall, and Gilbert Perreault, and Thurman Thomas, and Bob McAdoo, and there's some big sports names here. I know you follow basketball a little bit too, but all those names in there, and then certainly the local legends. You're in a great place.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. Is like those types of things, I don't take for granted, and I sometimes, it's mind-boggling, and it's extremely, extremely humbling. Thinking, being a part of that group is like, wow, I can't believe it's me.
And so, what's your world today? You're still obviously you got the Manto Player Development Center banner behind you this morning. Mm-hmm. So, talk a little bit about what's your day to day. What are you doing now? You're working with youth to develop their skills and coaching or whatever it is. You tell us a little bit what Jeff Manto's doing nowadays.
Right now, I took on the this project at the Manto Player Development Center, and we try to be more than just baseball, softball, and things like that. I'm really, my background is development, and we truly try to develop the players. We have my daughter comes in as a chiropractor, talks about the body and how it moves. I have some mental psychologists, the sports psychologists that come in. We have trainers that come in. So we're truly about the development, not just pumping balls through a machine and getting your swings in. And we try to take care of the players getting to college and things like that. So the day to day is putting groups together, making sure the parents are notified on how the system really works. And a lot of parents obviously today are frustrated, and I think they just don't know how the system works. And we explain that to them. And the high school gig is pretty cool. I'm going into my 4th or 5th year. I don't even know what year it is, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. I remember
What high school?
Job, I called a lot of local legend coaches and asked them why they took the job. And each one of them said is nothing better than being a part of somebody's life, especially in high school. And it's been enjoyable, and they were 100% correct. It's been a blast.
And what high school is it? You're coaching what high school?
Commonwealth Egan Catholic High School.
Okay.
It's a 4A school, so not where we have 6 levels here in Pennsylvania. So it's 4. We're at 4 out of the 6. So it's not a big school, not a small school.
That's great. That's great. And team plays well, and they like playing for Mick.
Well, I don't know if they like it because you ever see that Coach Cass with the cutoffs and relays?
Yeah.
I bring that video up to the freshmen and go, listen, if we want to get away from this and me losing my mind, make sure you hit the cutoff, man. So I don't know what they're saying behind my back, but I'm sure I'm hoping that it's something positive.
Well, that's great. Jeff Manto, a member of the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall class of 2008. Thanks for spending some time with us here in Western New York, and it's great to see you, great to chat with you, and best to you.
Thanks, Bernie. I appreciate your time, man.
All right, be well.